All right, here we go. Live on a Friday night. DC and the Sunshine Man podcast, Cokin and Company, late night podcast. Oh, boy. Thought we'd have a nice game to talk about. Recap, 2-1 lead in the series for the Golden Knights. Some complaints. They should have scored more goals. The win should have been easier. Not even a win. Holy crap, oh schmoly. That was unreal, man. It happens sometimes, but my God. Between the domination through the first two periods, the shot count through the game, and then Fleury with one of those bizarro mistakes that comes back to kill him. Yikes. So, Dave, that one's not easy to come back from. That said, the Knights did crush the Canadians throughout the game. So, I don't think the series is hopeless, but that's a freaking gut punch.
Yeah, well, they happen. You got to bounce back from it. It's as simple as that. They were the much better team the first two periods, not so much the third period, and definitely not in the overtime. They looked like they were worn out in the overtime. So get some rest and come out firing in Game 4. They are still heavy favorites to win the series, even though they're down 2-1. I believe Circa has it minus 160 on the series, maybe minus 155. I don't have my numbers up, So it's not the end of the world, but you got to cut down on the mistakes. Got to get more traffic in front of the goal. I mean, the shots on goal are a little misleading because there's just too many from the outside. And maybe more than anything, that Stone line better get going. They haven't done a thing in this series. And if that line's not producing, they're going to have a tough time winning.
Willie, your thoughts?
I think for one thing for sure, Stone brought it up in the post-game presser. He said, they were down 2-0 or 0-2 to Colorado, got the shit kicked out of them a day after playing, 2 days after playing the Game 7, got dominated in the first period of Game 2, and then lost in overtime. And then came from behind to win Game 3. So, in a sense, and DeBoer said, if we win Game 4, you're basically back to scratch, and becomes a best of 3 with home ice all over again. So they did dominate play. The defense, Pietrangelo scoring for them. You got the defense scoring goals, but those top two lines. Especially Stone and Pacioretty. I get it, Stevenson out and probably isn't in Montreal because DeBoer was kind of irritated when the very first question to him was, what's the status on Stevenson and is he in Montreal? But, I thought...
By the way, Willie, I know it's right after the game, but I get the feeling he'd be irritated if it was asked at some point. Can we cut the bullshit with the injuries?
Oh, yeah.
Seriously. I mean, enough across the sport, enough with the Golden Knights. It's obviously it's a massive story. It's making a gigantic difference. It made a difference on the game tonight. Yeah, they got a lot of shots, but like Dave said, how many were really dangerous? Can we know about one of your better players in a key cog and not play this mystery game?
Yeah, because at this point, you're really not fooling the Montreal Canadiens. It doesn't matter whether they're preparing for him or not. Just let just let it know, what's going on. I mean, or even if you don't say the injury, just say if he's there or he's not there. But you look at the high danger chances. As you just brought up in terms of danger shots. The shot attempts were 77-59. Golden Knights. They dominated the first two periods, but those last two, the Canadians' shot attempts grew. They closed the gap with actual shots. High danger chances. The first period with the high danger chances really was where the Golden Knights dominated. After that, it was pretty much even. In the second period, high danger chances in all situations, 4-4. High danger chances in the third period, 5-4 Golden Knights. And in overtime, Canadians 2-0. So it closed after the Golden Knights opened the game 9-1 in high danger chances. It was 10-9 in favor of the Canadians. So Dave's right. You got to get more people in front of the net. Riley Smith said that, and you have to. And Tomas Nosek said the same thing. You got to get in front. You got to tip those rebounds in. You got to be there in front of the net.
Well, and look, aside from that, you got to cut down on glaring mistakes, because there were two real bad ones tonight. The breakaway by Caulfield. I mean, you can't let him get that. That just can't happen. And obviously, the Fleury mishandling the puck was a disaster. That's just a fluke. But the Caulfield thing, I mean, that kid's a scorer. You cannot let him get behind the defense.
Well, the game winning 2-0 rush is a major mistake too. As DeBoer said, that's a second period line change. You don't have that kind of long line change in overtime. It's got to be better. The puck's got to get deeper when you're clearing and make that line change quick. So there's a third mistake.
I think that tied into the fatigue. They were a tired team in the overtime.
Yeah.
They had
and I think that Montreal's if the roles were reversed, fatigue or not, and it was Golden Knights tying it late, they'd have that moment, that juice flowing. So that I think that deflated.
That's what I think. Well. I think it was more mental fatigue than physical fatigue. I think they were shot mentally. They just never got out of it in the overtime.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Goal.
Yeah, well, but fatigue. Yeah, it's not. I meant that.
Yeah,
mentally tired. So now they've got 2 days to recover, and they better come out. They better come out snorting fire in Game 4, because they still can't win a first period. Again tonight, nothing. They dominated, but it's still nothing. They need to get ahead in the first period, because all they're doing is giving Montreal life. And this is now, well, they did score first tonight, so it's the 6th time in 16 games they've scored first.
And more than anything, the power play's got to get better. Got to be better.
The power play hasn't been very good all year, so I think you can forget that. Okay, I mean we've played 56 regular season games and now 16 playoff games. That's 72 games. The power play's been pretty bad for 72 games, so it ain't going to get better. Okay,
Willie, give the number since April 1st.
15 goals, 107 attempts.
Oh my God! And it's gotten worse. It's gotten worse overall. It's in the playoffs. Yeah. It's not even 15% in the playoffs.
Right.
And Montreal is a very good penalty killing team. On top,
number one penalty killing team in the postseason.
They're good killing, and they're also good on the counter. They're a bitch to defend shorthanded.
Yeah. They have 4 shorthanded goals. So it's there is a lot of things that they need to address in 24 hours, and then come out in 48 and be prepared to really take this series back. And I thought that they did a good job of the way that they were skating in the first period, and it just goes back to get to find in the back of the net.
Let's call it straight. Fleury blew the game.
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I mean, let's cut all the other stuff. What happened? He blew the game. Okay. And I'm not knocking Fleury because he's been great, but that was pretty bad.
And let's not forget in game 2, he fucked up and shouldn't have dove for that poke check, and that caused that was also a problem. So that's 2 major mistakes in 2 games. That one in game 2 may not have cost the entire game, but that they lost 3-2. They lost by 1 goal, and that was his fault as well. So that's 2 major mistakes that led to 2 goals in 2 losses by a Vezina finalist.
Yeah. Sorry about that, Willie. I want to ask both of you guys, especially Dave, has watched hockey forever. I'm not. I swear to God, I'm not doing revisionist history. As I'm watching the game, and I saw it happen a little bit in the first, but then it was happening a lot in the third. I was trying to watch both goalies and how many times they went behind the goddamn net and started playing with the puck. And I was watching Fleury, and I'm like, man, he's out behind the net, flipping the puck all over the place. And I had no idea he would F up and knock it off his own skate. But as you guys were watching, where you're like, he's out of net too much tonight.
Well, he's normally a pretty good stick handling goalie. I mean, he's not Mike Smith level, but he's okay. But he made a bad boo-boo tonight.
Yeah, I felt like
disaster.
The fact, and I know he's good at it. I felt like the fact that he was out over and over and over again. The Canadians are like, all right, let's start getting in there. Like, let's charge him and let's see if we can get something to happen here. And then obviously when he screwed it up, I mean, you had two guys Johnny on the spot.
He also had another stick handling mistake in the overtime, which he got away with. So that might be something that is talked about in sessions with the coaching staff tomorrow. It's like, okay, you stay in the goal, okay? Because he did make mistakes tonight, and it's not, and he has not a great series handling the puck.
No, and what's funny is the broadcasters were talking about his puck handling skills leading up to that.
Well, he's normally pretty good at it, but he has not been in this series. And, and he can get out of it. The main thing is don't press the panic button. It's only 2-1. They're still the better hockey team. And you go out there and win game 4, you're back to being a huge favorite. And again, the odds makers not thinking much of Montreal because down 2-1, they're still 8-5 favorites.
And, we're talking about the shots. We're talking about how many shot attempts. We're talking about how many shots on goal. We're talking about, the ability to score. But let's not take anything away from Price. He's playing his ass off, and he's been fantastic. This is a guy he's a veteran. I mean, and he came up with some big saves. I think we talked about this the last time I was on. I don't think I was on the last 2 weeks, but about Alex Tuck and being able to score big goals. I mean, since the Braden Holtby save, this dude he's got the worst. Like, he's either missing wide or he's got goalies making saves. But Price made a big save on Tuck tonight. That was huge.
Price has been great. He's been
fantastic. So and that's one thing that sort of bothers me when I'm covering or and you're hearing the Golden Knights need to do a better job doing this. Maybe it's that the goalie is playing his fucking ass off because when it's Golden Knights, we're talking how good Fleury is.
Well, but the thing is, a goalie can still play his ass off. But if you create traffic in front of the net, sometimes there's nothing they can do, and that is the Knights have not done that in this series. They just haven't, and they should be able to because they are a bigger team than Montreal. Got to get in there and get physical, get nasty, even if it means taking a few penalties. You got to start pushing this team around.
Yeah, because that's what they're doing, and they're surviving it. They're killing penalties, they're moving bodies, and the Golden Knights aren't. And I don't know where that's coming from, if they're doing it to avoid that or what the situation is, but they're not forcing themselves into the crease, into the slot, and that's why we're seeing so many shots from the blue line. That's why we're seeing shots from the circle. That's why
it's what we saw early in the Minnesota series.
Yeah.
And they fixed it and got out of there with the win. They got to fix it here too. It's essentially the same thing. I mean, their series are somewhat mirror images of one another because the Golden Knights had huge territorial edges in most of the games against Minnesota and got frustrated by Talbot, who had 2 shutouts, and also just didn't create traffic. And then they did. They got back to what works for them. So that's what they have to do here. Now, whether they can do it or not on Sunday, that remains to be seen. I think they will. I think they'll come out and play a good game on Sunday.
I don't agree with Rob in Vegas. I think Stone has done little. I think Patches has been okay. It wasn't great tonight, but he's been dangerous in the series.
I would agree. Stone has not had a good series.
Yeah.
He hasn't, and he admitted. He said it starts with me. He says it starts with me. I have to do a better job. So.
Everybody goes through little slumps, and he's in one right now. His passing has not been real crisp in this series. He had a couple of opportunities to set up guys for what would have been great chances, and just quite frankly, did not execute the passes properly. But he's a really good player, and I would expect he's going to come out with some serious intensity in Game 4, and that will spread throughout the team because he's the captain.
Willie, for CJ Cards fan, repeat again what the word on Stevenson was when someone tried to bring it up.
I think the guy didn't expect to be the first reporter called upon at the Zoom, and he even sort of apologized. He said, "Hey, I didn't expect to be first. Can I, Chandler Stevenson, what's his status?" And DeBoer he said, "Who?" And he repeated it, and he said, "I addressed that or talked about it this morning. Next question." And then this morning, when it was brought up, he just said, someone said specifically, "Is Chandler Stevenson in Montreal?" And he said, "Chandler Stevenson's day to day." So he is not letting in on anything. Now there was one guy who's on press row for local plays or for local media, and last game when Stevenson didn't come out, he went back and watched every shift Stevenson played in the previous game, and the only thing that he saw at one situation was a trip, and he's not sure where he could have possibly gotten injured. So I don't know if it's a concussion. Is that okay? So that's who I was talking about. Ken from Sin Bin. He watched every single shift. So if he may have seen it on that trip, and if it is concussion protocol, he's not going to be back for this series because concussion protocols can last roughly 2 weeks, and we saw how long it lasted with Leonard.
And why is it day to day?
Because they don't want they want Montreal to be. They want Montreal to be wondering if they need to prepare for him every single game.
I would bet everything I have Montreal knows the status. This is ridiculous.
Or they're guessing it. Yeah, they went back and reviewed the film.
They
went back and reviewed the film. Absolutely. But
look, it's real simple. If he's in Montreal, he would have been at the game tonight. So he's either at the game, sitting in the
press box,
healthy scratch section,
right?
Or he's not there. I mean, it's not like he's in Montreal and watching the game on TV from a hotel room. So I would assume that since nobody's seen him, he's not there.
Yeah, I don't think he's there. I don't think he's there. And if it is a concussion, some last longer. I mean, it could be a protocol where it's not as severe. It's a grade whatever. I'm not sure. I don't know the technology behind or the technical terms behind it. But if it's a concussion, it's going to be hard pressed to get him back for this series.
Well,
I don't have to do it without him.
I don't know if I don't know what the story is on protocols. If he's good to go tomorrow, then he flies to Montreal and he plays Sunday. If he's not, then he doesn't. So that from that standpoint, maybe the board doesn't know the answer either. It's very conceivable that all right, we'll get him checked again tomorrow. If he passes, get him on a flight. So, maybe he doesn't know if he's going to be out there Sunday. Sometimes you can't answer a question if you don't know the answer. I would hope that I would certainly hope that he's available. I don't think he is, but I'm just guessing.
Yeah.
Well, Brady, you're missing what I just said. It's pretty clear he wasn't there tonight. I'm assuming that they will probably check to see how he is tomorrow. And if he passes whatever protocols are necessary tomorrow, then he'll be on a flight and ready to play on Sunday. If not, then he'll be here in Las Vegas. I mean, I would assume he's getting checked every day. It's the playoffs. If it was a regular season, okay, well, he's going to be out for another week. But it's the playoffs, and they're probably doing every 24 hours. Let's get him in here and let's see how he does.
Did we get confirmation on the Montreal coach and his COVID? Is he out for the series? So here we go again. This will be a mystery.
I think since he tested positive, I think now you've got that's not a 24-hour thing, right? There's a quarantine period, I would assume, especially in Canada where they're
especially in Canada.
Yeah. So I would think he's not going to be back for this series.
And he's not fully vaccinated, right? That was the word. He got one shot, maybe he got the second, but not enough time.
Right, he was about to get the second.
It's 15 days after the second anyway.
Yeah.
Right. He I don't think that he got the second. and then the first test or the test came back irregular, but then it was later confirmed positive. So in that case, I don't think he'll be back for this series, and I don't think he can leave Canada. He's going to have to quarantine.
Right. Yeah, their rules they are still under much heavier restrictions than we are. Thank goodness for that, huh? Boy, it's great to be getting out again.
Yeah.
Did you go out this week, Dave? Did you go out to eat?
Yeah, sure.
Where'd you go?
I'm doing normal. I'm doing whatever I used to do normally. I'm doing again.
Let's do it.
I've got dinners lined up on Tuesday next week. Another one, I can't remember the day it is, but big groups going out to some great places, and yeah. And then I'm heading to San Diego during the All-Star break. And they're back to full capacity there as well. Which, by the way, how cool, not to change subjects real quickly, but how cool was that if you watched the Padres game last night with that crazy ninth inning where the Reds took the lead and then the Padres walked it off with a home run by Caratini, and you had 40,000, first full capacity game in San Diego since 2019. The place was packed. And I mean, they were going nuts. You'd have thought they'd have just won the World Series. That was great to see.
By the way, for when I went down to San Diego last weekend and actually did stay at the Omni right across from the stadium.
I love the Omni.
It's pretty crazy when there's no game. It's like you got this place that can hold 40,000 people, and all weekend long they were holding graduations for the local high schools.
Omni's. If you want to be in Gaslamp and have the easiest access to the ballpark, the Omni is the place to stay. That place is always hopping after a game. It's a lot of fun. The other place, it's not as close, but the W.
Yep.
That place is cooking after the games too. Younger crowd, a lot of fun.
Look at Dave. I think they have a rooftop club on the Marriott too. Yeah, I know.
And they have one at the W because I've been there.
Look at Dave.
I've stayed at the W.
Look at Dave.
Dave, when are you going to San Diego?
All-Star Week, when I always go.
And Del Mar opens in mid-July, doesn't it?
Del Mar opens actually day after. Del Mar opens the day. We'll be there for opening day. And then we're coming home the next day.
July 16th. I just pulled it up.
Yeah, I don't have the exact date, but I'll be there all week.
Nice. Dave's the man.
Oh yeah, I got dinners lined up already. Gonna see. Found out Matt Arthik, who has a really good pizza spot.
What?
He does.
Really? Where is it?
Well, he's got. I think there's 3 now. The one that he had was in, I think it's La Jolla, or is it Chula Vista? I can't remember which. But Matt let me know that he opened another one, which is like a mile from the racetrack. So it's like, cool. If you're down there, it's good. Okay, it's called Crust.
Crust Pizzeria.
Yeah, and it's really good. I mean, his pizza's first rate. The meatballs are great, and you get to hang out with Matt, who's a terrific guy. Las Vegas, former University of Arizona star basketball player, and he had a taste in the NBA, and he's done very well since then. And Matt's a great guy, and his dad, Buddy, and me are old friends, and hopefully we'll catch up with Buddy down there.
Cool. Very cool.
That's some old school Vegas for you.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm friends with all the younger guys' dads.
Well, funny enough, Matt Arthik is not that young anymore. So,
well, he is compared to me.
I know.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure there's a lot of people on the video right now who are like, "Who's Matt Arthik?" So
Matt was a great college basketball player.
Think Steve Kerr and how old Steve Kerr is, and Matt Arthik was. I'm correct, right? Matt Arthik was his running mate at Arizona, right?
Yeah.
He was the other guard.
Yeah, and
Matt.
That team was really good.
Matt Arthik and I are the same age. He was the same year that when I went to Clark, and Greg Anthony was at Rancho, and Rancho and Clark played for the state championship. Matt was over at Gorman. We all graduated there. I believe he graduated in '86, same year as I did.
Was he ridiculous in high school?
Oh,
yeah.
I'll bet. I never saw him play high school ball, but saw him play college ball, and it's like, holy shit, that guy's good. I didn't know Matt then. But he's a good guy. They're nice
Yeah,
people.
no.
That family, that's a really nice family.
Yeah, Tark loved him. He was friends with Buddy and them, and then I believe that's how he got his shot with the Spurs is when Tark had his quick stint with the
That
Spurs,
sounds right.
that 20-game stint, and he brought Matt in because he always was, fond of him. But Matt chose to play for Lute Olson.
Well, I don't think it was a bad decision. He did pretty well.
Oh yeah, can't go wrong with, Lute was one of the best.
Oh yeah.
You know what? I was incorrect on Kerr. Kerr's a little bit older, so
Is
Kerr
he?
was
Okay,
before.
I
Yeah,
remember.
Kerr was before Othick. Othick played his last year was with Chris Mills, Brian Williams, Bison Dele, Sean Rooks, Matt Muleback, Khalid Reeves,
Boy, oh boy.
Ed Stokes, Wayne Womack. What did that team go? 28-7. Yeah, he was on some pretty good teams, and then they got really super the next couple of years after Othick was gone. That's when Midnight Loot was in full effect.
Well, anyway, that's a plug if you get down to that area of
Crust.
California. Yeah, it's good. I mean, it really is. I'm not saying that because Matt's a friend. It's like, damn, this is really good pizza, and their water is better than ours, so it's not hard to understand.
I don't even know what this means. Adam's got some weird reference here. Willie and Dave learned a lot about Cafe Michelle in Flamingo, Maryland this week.
Yeah, I have. I'm sure I remember.
Okay, I get it. Yeah, Willie, we've talked about Cafe Michelle before, right?
Yeah. In fact, quick recap. I don't know if I mentioned this, but the last time I was really blasted from alcohol. I don't remember the year. It's 1990 something. But it was on a Wednesday night, and I had a Friday business lunch at Cafe Michelle, and I was still hungover from Wednesday night. And that's when I made the decision. I'm never doing this again. And I haven't since.
Cafe Michelle was big when I was younger, like a lot younger. And then the cafe that I would go to for late nights and hang out when it was like a piano bar type was Cafe Nicole up on Sahara in Decatur.
Yeah.
We'd hit Fellini's up on West Charleston by the Tap House, and then we'd bounce back and forth to Cafe Nicole because they'd have the guest singers come up and back. You know what's crazy is one of the people that would always pop in and sing and play the trumpet at either Fellini's, Cafe Nicole, and there was this other joint. It was like a Greek place, which is now a hookah bar on Flamingo in Decatur. Was Tom Saida, the former car dealer?
Yeah,
and he could really sing and
I didn't know
play the trumpet. Yeah, he played the hell out of the trumpet. But they do like a Wednesday night jam session at Fellini's that was incredible. And once everybody left and they were cleaning up the place, they'd lock the door and we'd still have drinks for another hour and a half, and they'd just have a jam session. There'd probably be like a dozen of us in there. John L. Smith would be in there, whomever. And then we'd go next door to the Tap House. And
Cafe Michelle was also it was weird in that it was a restaurant, it was a bar, and there was dancing. Because they had music. There was you could dance in there.
At Cafe Michelle?
Yeah. It wasn't, I don't know if it was set up to be a dance floor, but there'd be people dancing. Because I remember we used to go over there when Sports Fan Radio Network was still in existence. That was one of the places we'd head over to once in a while. And Jim Brinson, you know Jim Brinson, Steve. Jim Brinson, it's like, God damn, man, that guy can dance. he's good. He's really good.
Nick Khan, why does that sound familiar?
Well, like Adam said, he's running the WWE now, but I guess he was there. He was a waiter there.
Jimmy Jem's in the house. Jimmy, you remember Nick Khan? That name sounds familiar, and not from WWE.
He knows the cheerleaders.
He definitely knows where the cheerleader hangs out.
I don't know about Nick.
Tap House is OG, Kenneth Ramirez says. That indeed it is.
Yeah. And it's still, I would assume, one of the I would assume it's still what is that still the best spot in town if you're a Cleveland Browns fan?
Cleveland fan. Yeah, Cleveland of all sports, but Browns for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I know Tap House was, and I assume it still is. I mean, was the Sunday spot if you're going to catch the Browns. I know. I mean, I never was there because I'm not a Browns guy, but I know most of the spots where it's like the seafood joint not far from me. I can't. Crab Corner is huge. Baltimore Ravens spot, huge.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, last year you wouldn't know because.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming it'll be right back to that this year. If you're a Ravens fan, that's where you want to be on Sunday afternoon here. And pretty good seafood, too. Sit there and do some Maryland crab, and watch your football team.
By the way, Rourke, Tony Khan runs AEW, not Nick Khan. Tony Khan, the son of the Jaguars owner.
That's something I would not know anything about.
Very dialed into wrestling, my friend. Very dialed in.
SummerSlam coming to town.
Oh, yeah. Big event.
Oh.
Tickets go on sale tomorrow, right? Right, Adam? 10 a.m. tomorrow?
We got to get the AP to.
I guess we'll talk to Nick Khan next week. We're going to try to get him on.
How long will that take to sell out? About an hour?
I'm not sure. I'm sure it'll do well.
Oh, you can count on that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a wrestling guy at all. I have zero interest in it, but I know how popular it is, and that's a well-run outfit.
By the way, this is funny. Good jab. Where do the Oriole fans go? They stay home.
To Aviators games.
Yeah, really. Hey, they won tonight. The Orioles won a game.
By the way, Dave, I'm sure there's been a season where there's been two horrific teams that could not win on the road. I cannot remember two teams having road losing streaks as bad as the Orioles and now the Diamondbacks. It's unreal.
23, and I think the Orioles are 18. Hey, puppy.
Cool wants to make an appearance.
The cool thing for the Orioles is, I mean, they'd be getting a lot more attention if it weren't for the Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
And the Diamondbacks, by the way, returned home and got shut out tonight.
They actually got a good starting pitching performance, but the bullpen blew and they couldn't hit.
Yep.
Yeah, they held. I looked at that price just because Bauer's been rough to start June, and I was like, wow, man, that's a big price. Just the value of it. And the kid put forth a good effort, and then Dodgers put up 3 in the 8th, and that was that.
Does it count as a good effort if you play in the Diamondbacks? I mean, and it's one of those things where I don't know Torey Lovello. I've met him a couple of times, but one of my best friends is very good friends with Torey. So it's kind of like, geez, so I want to root for the guy. He can't be the manager much longer. I mean, they're going to have to fire him.
Yeah.
What is that, 15 in a row now?
I think it's 15. It's either 14 or 15. You realize they've been swept in 7 consecutive road series? That's amazing.
Yep.
Well, and they've broken the modern record, which modern goes back to 1900. There is actually a longer road losing streak if you want to go back before 1900. The 1894 Washington Nationals lost 28 straight road games.
Jesus.
So they still have their goal. They still have a record to beat.
All right, so what we think of the Clippers tonight? Did you guys watch the game?
I don't know. Not me.
Oh, Dave, you missed a good game.
I haven't watched an NBA game in like 2 years.
It's an exhilarating game. They were down big. They were down 25. Like, they're going to pack it in, just try to win Game 7 at Utah. And then kid named Terrence Mann went for 39. And, my God, Quinn Snyder and his defensive adjustments, there were none. He sucked tonight.
Terrence Mann's good. I don't follow the NBA, but I still follow college. And Terrence Mann was a good basketball player. I don't think he's related to the character in Field of Dreams, though.
No. Exactly, Brady. I'm along with my lifelong Nets fandom. I've been a longtime Clippers fan.
Did the Clippers win?
Yeah, they won. They closed.
Came back and won.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
That's the NBA. I mean, that's the one thing. It's part of the reason I stopped betting the NBA years ago. Is that shit happens all the time where the team's up 20 and it's like, how do you lose?
I saw
It
the
happens in
league
that
getting
league.
bigger and bigger, and whatever the halftime, and then obviously I'm glued to the Golden Knights. I had post game quote duty for everybody that was up in Canada because one of our guys has been quarantined up there. And then I fucking go to Twitter and our boy Arash is tweeting that's the second time the Clippers have done this. I was like, what? And I looked it up and the headline on NBA.com was like overcame a 25-point deficit. And then I saw the score and I was like, Jesus Christ, they overcame a 25-point deficit and I think they won by double digits.
It's the beauty. The thing is, it's the beauty and also the curse of having a basket that's not that tough to make worth 3 points. You can erase deficits.
JVT would happen.
It's part of the reason that I think college basketball has gotten a lot tougher for me over the years is that I can have a team that's completely dominated the game and be up 18 with 5 minutes to go. And the other team all of a sudden just gets red hot from outside and they cut the deficit in 2 minutes. And you can't handicap stuff like that.
Well,
it makes it very difficult.
Like I said tonight, Quinn Snyder, and they did get beat a lot by Terrence Mann, but Paul George killed him too. Quinn Snyder needed to take freaking Gobert off the floor because they were going 5 out a lot, and anytime they got to the lane, Gobert would try to help. They would pitch it out, wide open 3. Anytime they stayed 5 out, Gobert would have to go to the perimeter. Freaking couldn't cover the guy on the perimeter. They'd hit a 3. So Gobert tonight, even though he's Defensive Player of the Year, was a liability, and Quinn Snyder wouldn't give up on him. So they're out.
Best decision I've made in my business. And it cost me, not from a business standpoint, it's a stupid decision because NBA sells like crazy. Okay, it sells more than the NHL. It sells more than Major League Baseball. It outsells everything except football. But I decided I don't need the money anyway. And I just decided a couple of years ago, I don't need this sport. I don't need it because it's a headache. And so I just dropped it. I dumped it. And what it's allowed me to do is spend way more time on the NHL a couple of years ago. And I had a great season in the NHL, absolutely fantastic season in the NHL. And last year wasn't bad either. And my betting is actually more important than my sales. So I'm pretty happy with that decision. The downside is I know nothing about what's going on in the NBA. The only reason I know who's playing who is I watch SportsCenter and they show the highlights. Outside, because now that I don't do daily radio anymore, it's like, well, I don't really need to follow this at all, so I don't.
What do you think of Game 4 tomorrow in Long Island?
I don't know. I don't know. I haven't made a bet in this series, and I won't tomorrow. I don't know. I think Tampa's a better team. The Islanders are really scrappy, though, but I haven't been. I just haven't found enough of an edge to actually back the Islanders. I think they were kind of fortunate to win one game, and they're having a lot of trouble with Vasilevsky,
they can't solve.
The guy. He's just so freaking big.
Yeah.
He really is the best goalie in the league, because to be that big and that agile, it's a lethal combination, and I think they're going to win the whole thing. Now that Colorado's out, I think Tampa's the best team in the league now. They're back to where they were last year, and Vasilevsky is just, and that's not to take anything away from the other goalies that are still playing, because Price is fantastic. Fleury's had a great year, and Varley's not bad for the Islanders, but Vasilevsky's on another level. I don't know that I've ever seen a guy that size who is that ridiculously agile. He does splits like a majorette. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And the guy's huge.
Yeah, it's almost like looking at it's a guy from Dallas, Bishop, with Fleury-like skills, cat-like skills.
He's
just a big guy with cat-like skills. He really is, incredible. And that's a guy where you're going to have problems, threading the needle and looking for the right spot to.
There's only one way you got to back him into the goal. Because if he gets an angle on you, forget it. There's no way to beat him. You got to back him. You literally have to back him into the goal. So you talk about needing to create traffic in front of the goal. It's more paramount with him than any goalie in the league. And so if the Golden Knights get through this series against Montreal and face Tampa Bay, that better be the most important thing they work on in practice, is finding a way to get a lot of traffic in front of the net, because you're not beating that guy from outside. He'll turn that stuff away like it's just candy. Boom, see ya, get out. And they'll have no chance to win. They might lose 4 straight. So that's something they better get back to doing, which they did a lot better of in early. They did a much better job of it in the last 4 games against Colorado, and throughout most of the regular season, they were really good at creating traffic in front of the net. They got to get back to that in this next game. Have to do it, and hopefully they'll keep doing it if they face Tampa.
I didn't even think of it, and I'm not sure why anybody didn't ask. I was busy trying to type as everybody was answering, but nobody asked DeBoer how Ryan Reeves went MIA. As having a physical body, that's somebody that gets in the net, gets in front of the goalies, creates screens, or tips pucks. But he was MIA in the third period for the Golden Knights. I think over the last 12 minutes.
Yeah, I didn't see him.
I think he played 2 minutes in the third period, 2 or 3 minutes. So be interested to see his role, his presence.
Well, I think what happened is DeBoer gave up on the Tuck, on the move to put Tuck between Pacioretty and Stone, and so he altered the lines, put Tuck back where he originally was, and Reeves became the odd man out when that happened.
Well, I don't think that he gave up on the top line. I think he needed a boost on the third.
Well, but
by eliminating Reeves, that's why they could have been a good reason why they were getting fatigued and tired.
Well, all I know is that it became clear that even though the Golden Knights played really well for the first 2 periods, their worst line was the line that wasn't used to playing together. They weren't functioning well, and that was good to me. He made the right move, calling that an end to that experiment fairly quickly. If it's broken, you better fix it. So I don't think you'll be seeing that combination out there again.
What about what Brady's saying here? If you can't trust him in the third or OT, why give him the spot?
I don't know who they're going to scratch him for. When you need, they need the physical bodies, they need that line, and they need the fourth line to clear pucks and to sustain possession. So when that top line comes out, or whichever line is coming out after them, and one of the physical things, one of the things they're going to need to, if they're going to get physical, to get in front of the net, and that's a guy that we've seen it. Adam, I don't know if he's still in the room, or Dave Shane was in the room, but that's one guy that we've seen multiple times after practice, and he's out there doing that time and time again. That's one of the guys that needs to do that.
Unfortunately, he's not an offensive asset. I think Brown probably. We're going to see more of Brown on Sunday. He just does more offensively, and it really is kind of coming down to that. You got to find a way to get the puck in the net.
Cameron, it's just a gallon. That's all. I got a little bit left to go for my gallon intake today. Kolesar played with confidence when they put him up there.
He's done better in this series.
He skated with him. He's improving. He's got some.
We talked about that last week or 2 weeks ago, I guess. Is that right now he doesn't have a lot of finishing skill offensively, but all the other aspects of his game are pretty strong, and that's something I'm sure he's going to work on. He's got a chance to be a nice player because he's tough. He can skate. He's just not real good offensively yet, and has no touch around the net. But those are things he can work on. His upside I think his upside's considerable.
Yeah, he's just not savvy, but
he's inexperienced still.
Yeah, It'll come. It's just, unfortunately, this is not the time that you sort of want to experiment and hope that it comes. But considering that they're shorthanded, that these are the things. I think tomorrow is going to be, arguably going to be one of the most important practices that DeBoer is going to hold, because he's got to figure out some chemistry. He's got to figure out some line combinations that are going to work for them, so they can, dominate for 60 minutes through and through. And again, we go back to the shots, what they did, so on and so forth, but they got tired down the stretch. You got Fleury making the mistake. They can't recover, and they just have to do a better job overall in all 60 minutes. And, I know you said, yes, it sucked all year, but one power play goal out of however many attempts is more than they've gotten the last fucking 10 in this series. So they have the little tiny intangibles that'll make a difference that they need to work on. They need to figure it out.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, it's kind of late in the game to do it, but I think you might see a different line out there as the top power play line. Why not?
Anyone else think this tonight about Glass and Suzuki? Because Suzuki,
if you don't give up Suzuki, you don't get Pacioretty.
Yeah.
Pacioretty's been pretty good for this team, I'd say.
Yeah, that's too easy to say. What if after the
they
fact?
wouldn't have taken Glass?
That's just not.
It's just as simple as that. They weren't. No offense to Cody Glass, but Suzuki was a much higher level. In most people's opinion, Suzuki's a really high level prospect. Okay,
but not only that, but let's. I mean, Suzuki. If let's just say that they do that, they send Glass instead of Suzuki. Then Suzuki's got to deal with all these top forwards that have been here. In terms of Stone and Stastny when he was here, and Pacioretty and Marchessault Carlson. So he's not going to. Montreal they had nothing. He had nowhere but upside to gain. He had nowhere but to get better. He was automatically going to play. There's no guarantee he was going to play and improve for Vegas. So he was going to get playing time and improve and become a star in Montreal. He wasn't going to become the same star in Vegas.
I don't think that matters. I think he becomes a star any place. He's just a really talented guy and great passer. And that setup tonight for the breakaway was a thing of beauty. Suzuki's really good.
And I think that Braden McNabb's hit on him fired him up, because he was coming out there skating with a lot of life. There were, you lay a hit on a kid like that, he might be a little tentative, he may be a little apprehensive in certain areas. He came out with a lot of aggression and a lot of confidence, and he was not fucking scared.
No, that line, by the way, that line's got a chance to be scary good.
That's a fun line to watch. It's nice and it's young.
That kid's a sniper. That kid was born to score goals.
Adam took till third. Did you pipeline into Montreal and tell DeBoer to do that?
To use Nosek on the front line or first line?
Yeah.
Look, if you don't have Stevenson, I think maybe it's. I thought the Tuck thing was a good idea. It just didn't work, and I guess, and at the same time, it created some imbalance. So I think DeBoer recognized that pretty quickly and said, okay, not every experiment works. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Nosek is out there in that spot on Sunday.
Before we close out, let's spend 5 minutes on this developing story, because I think it's going to be really interesting what's going to happen with this. And if you listen to Cofield and Company, you can see this coming. So we clearly have a split with the vaccine. We've now got Nevada Vax Days, where we're putting up $5 million with $1 million grand prize for people who get vaccinated. That's from Governor Sisolak yesterday.
I need to get vaccinated again.
All right, let's get double vax.
Take a shot. Why not?
The most vocal of all the NFL teams in terms of players and players' wives about being anti-vaxxers has been the Buffalo Bills, and Cole Beasley made mention of it, that he wasn't going to get the vaccine a couple of weeks ago, so he doubled down today. And I think it's going to be really interesting to follow, both from the Bills standpoint and the NFL standpoint. I don't know if you saw this, Dave, but he posted a message earlier today. So for the audience, Cole Beasley, it's going to pop up here in a second, said, everyone, hi, I'm Cole Beasley, and I'm not vaccinated. I will be outside doing what I do. I'll be out in public. If you're scared of me, then steer clear or get vaccinated. Point blank, period. I may die of COVID, but I'd rather die actually living. I have family members whose days are numbered. If they want to come and see me and stay at my house, and they're coming regardless of protocol. I don't play for money anymore. My family is taking care of me. So, and that's his stance. So,
the question I would have for him is, what are you getting? What do you have against the vaccine?
I don't know if he's a facts guy or I'm not a government sheep guy, which I actually think they're the same guys. I think all of it is a pushback, and I think most people are not really concerned about facts or any kind of danger.
No,
I think they want to do what they want to do, and they don't want to be told what to do.
I think
and
that's
the NFL without directly saying you have to take it has put rules in place where you're going to be kind of miserable if you don't have it, and you may F up your team. So Cole Beasley, doubling and tripling down, and now the Bills have a decision to make.
Yeah, I have no idea what the NFL is going to do on this. They might say, well, sorry, you can't play. It's possible. They might, because look, there are employers who are requiring that you be vaccinated or you can get another job. You don't have to get vaccinated, but you can't work for them. I don't know that the NFL will go that route, and I'm not saying they should. I'm just speculating that it is possible that they may say, okay, you don't have to get the vaccine, but can't play until you do.
Let me ask you guys this though. The percentage is 80%, right? Or 85%?
What?
They're supposed to get the 85%, yeah, the team.
Supposed to get to 85%. Okay. So in reality, if he's one of the 15%, it's more so, isn't it more so that he's just very vocal and very adamant and boisterous, whereas there could be however many make up the other 15% that are just keeping their mouth shut because they don't have to reveal who it is.
Yeah. The comment, by the way,
is it more so that he's just outspoken about it?
Well, he's clearly outspoken about it. I love the comment about he's a God's will guy. The question I would have for him is, well, what if it was God's will for the scientists to come up with this vaccine? Go ahead and answer that, Cole.
Yeah.
Because if you're a God's will guy and you believe everything happens because God wills it to happen, then logically God willed it so that there would be a vaccine for this virus.
Yeah.
End of story. Well, see, logic. Oh, and that's when you throw logic at some of these people that they can really get pissed off because their argument isn't very logical.
That's interesting, Jim. But so
Jim says ESPN emailed folks today who work TV stats that we need to be vaccinated or we don't work this year, and that's going to be the case with most media. If you're going to be around athletes and actually have real access to the athletes, you are required, or you can't do your job and you may be fired. You may not be fired, but your company may also say, "Hey, if this is what it takes to do your job, then you have to get vaccinated." So
a lot of people be that, look, there might be if there's 52 Dallas Cowboys and 45 of them say, we're vaccinated. The other 7 are going to have to go along with it, or they can't, or they'll have to find another team or another job. It's just the way it goes. I mean, you're still free to do what you want, but there are ramifications. And after what happened with the hospital in Texas, I believe it is, it's pretty clear that this is going to be the rule of law now. There's a hospital in Texas that required all employees to be vaccinated. And there were like 100, I think it was 113 employees.
I think it was 200 filed a suit saying they didn't want to do it.
Right.
And they went after Houston Methodist.
And they got thrown out of court.
Yeah.
Okay. It got thrown out of court, especially in Texas, which is a right to work state. So the result for however many of those people who decided not to get the vaccine, they can either change their mind and get the vaccine, or they will no longer work for Houston Methodist. Their job will be filled by somebody else. That's the way it goes.
We were forwarded an email from the NFL that, which I had heard that was coming way back whenever we were doing the show, and you two had already, I think, Dave, it was Steve, you were vaccinated. Dave, you had just got yours delayed because of your cat.
Right.
And I hadn't gone yet. It was before Easter because that's when I got mine, Easter Sunday or Saturday. But I had spoken to someone with the NHL, someone with the NFL, someone with Major League Baseball, in that the idea was that next season for all sports, they didn't know about for the rest of the time, but just the next season, that if you were going to move up one tier and you were with the media and you wanted to do in person, even if it was distanced, that you'd have to provide your Vax card. Otherwise, you would stick to last season's protocol in where you were in the Zoom up in the press box. And sure enough, we received an email, forwarded an email from the NFL with preseason training camp and preseason protocols for the media. And if you have been vaccinated, we will be able to do in-person interviews from a safe distance.
So do you think will there be media people who will join in the fight, this good fight with Cole Beasley, and put it all on the line? And, you know,
in the media,
fighting for freedom takes sacrifices and risks.
I think in our business, or what used to be my business, and is still your guys' business, I think the percentage of anti-vaxxers, I'm going to say, is really low, really low,
too.
Much less than the general public. I'd bet you it's no more than 15%.
I think the beat writers that refuse to get the vaccination, they'll just move that. They just won't cover that. You know, they're going to send people that are willing to, that have been vaccinated, so they can go into the locker room, so they can go do the job effectively and be efficient. I think that it's that simple. And that's one of the top reasons that I got it done. You know, my doctor questioned why I went and got it as soon as I got it, because the previous, if you guys remember, we talked about this.
Right.
My blood test showed that my antibodies were at the highest level. So, as a freelancer in Las Vegas, right, Southern Nevada's correspondent for the Associated Press, I need to make sure that I can get those freelance, fees that I invoice twice a month to the Associated Press. I don't want them sending somebody in or whatever. So, I received my confirmation email that if Golden Knights make the Stanley Cup, I'll be on that team. For the Raiders, NBA Summer League, I need to make sure that I can go cover those things. Yeah. So I think the same thing, if you're a full-time employee at the Review Journal or the Las Vegas Sun or any other newspaper that's covering an NFL team, and they're leaving it up to you to make that choice. Okay, that's fine. You're not going to lose your job, but we'll just move you off the beat. We need someone in there that's going to do their job efficiently.
Yeah, and in effect, then you're kind of jeopardizing your job.
Yeah.
So it's still, again, it's still, everybody's still got the choice. You can still make the choice, but
Brady, no, you don't have to be vaccinated.
There are conditions.
Brady, there is no VGK press room. Right now, we're just up on press row, and they're making us abide by NHL guidelines. So here's the weird thing about that. We go up a different elevator than we used to go. We go in a different entrance, and we go in a different elevator. We go in the same entrance and an elevator, or not the same entrance. We go in the same elevator that those that go to the Hyde Lounge at the top of T-Mobile go to. We go down this back way the Hyde Lounge entrance to the press box, to the press row, compared to where we used to go. And we cannot go up the back corridor, the back hallway behind where the NHL officials and the broadcast teams go in and out of, and team personnel. We have to stay at one section of the one end of press row. Bathrooms, we have to share with those guests that are half drunk, half cocked, just throwing shots back all game. And in between periods, we're sharing the bathroom with unmasked people, but we can go into the press box. All of it seems very odd to me and just very hypocritical because here we are being told you can come to the press box. We're 100% open. We're letting all these people in. You have to wear a mask because the broadcast booths that are behind us, you have to mask up and you have to sit here, but you can't come in the back hallway. And you have to go mix it up with the public. So we have no clue who's been vaccinated out there or what people are doing, right? And so it's like using a public bathroom in a stadium. And the one argument I have behind that is, yes, the VGK press conferences are on Zoom. The one thing that I keep saying is if we provide our Vax card, they can have it ahead of time on the list that when they're putting a label, printing out a label, and they're peeling it off and putting it on the daily press credential. They can add like a red sticker, and that'll tell security that person's vaccinated. We should be able to use the press room bathroom, but it's not on the Golden Knights. It's on the NHL. They're abiding by the NHL rules. The only thing that they're leaving it up to the clubs to decide is how many people are in and if they have to be masked, as far as fans are concerned. Other than that, we're all under NHL guidelines. And it's hypocritical.
There you go.
Well, anyway, all I know is I got mine. I carry my card in my wallet. I've never had to show it, but I carry it with me, and I can do anything I want. I like that. See, you have the freedom of choice whether to get it or not. But I have the freedom of choice to do anything I want, and go anywhere I want. If you don't get the vaccine, you might not have those same freedoms. So that's on you.
I was going to say that's the Dave Cokin I know, the sheep. The guy never pushes back. He always falls in line. He's not really. No. Dave is quite the anti-establishment guy when he needs to be. So
Dave's got to be able to. Dave's got to be able to go to dinner, man.
I was never, to be honest with you, I was never worried about getting the virus. Because I'm a very fortunate person. I have, for whatever reason, I was born with high resistance to just about anything. I never get sick. Okay, but I've hated. I mean, I've tolerated it, but I sure have. I hated might be the strong word, but it's pretty damn close to it. The fact that I couldn't go where I wanted to go for over a year. So it's like when the vaccine became available, it's like, well, shit, if I get this, I can go anywhere I want. Okay. Let me get, and I had to cancel an appointment because of the cat, who, by the way, is not doing very well. And looks like it might be the end of the line very soon. But anyway, I got my 2 and I'm good. And besides, on top of that, my doctor said, yeah, go get it. My cousin Leslie, who's a doctor, said, yeah, I mean, she was in the Johnson & Johnson test group, in fact. I've got a few medical friends in the medical profession. They 100% said, yeah, absolutely get it. So that was it.
Speaking of doing whatever you want, real quick, it's interesting that the head coach tested positive because
got it here.
Game 1 of the semifinals, I happened to show up. Normally, we were going in an hour and a half before. Then it opened up to 2 hours before. And I took a shot, since it was the semifinals, that it might be sooner. So I happened to get to T-Mobile at 2.5 hours before puck drop, game 1. So I was sitting at press row, and the NHL officials, team personnel, they're in their boxes and they're there. They can go in, probably 3 hours before. So I'm sitting there setting up, and I'm just, typing out pregame note, reading the game notes, typing out different things, stats, whatever I'll need. And I'm listening to the guys catching up in the booth, up high behind me. I can't see them because they're deeper into the booth, but they're talking. Oh, when'd you get in? Oh, okay, great. Yeah. Well, I'm here for the rest of the series. My brother's quarantined in Montreal because, they got a quarantine. So he's stuck up there. So when you go up there, you'll have him up there. all this stuff, right? They said that they had gotten in town, and one of the guys, I don't know who they were. I don't know if they're in the NHL or with the Canadians, but the one guy that I overheard say something about my brothers in Montreal, he said that was shocking to him is that, we get here and these guys are not supposed to, we have strict rules. We're supposed to get here. We go to our hotel room. You can't go out to eat. You got to come to the arena. They came to Vegas with the rules of Canada. You have to follow the rules of Canada, even there. Down at the pool, and Vegas is 100% open, packed pool, and they're down there. And all I heard, the next thing I heard that stood out to me was, can you imagine if somebody tests positive? Somebody's going to have somebody's going to have to answer to something if somebody tests positive, and whether it happens or not. But there's a guy down at they're down at the pool in these packed pools. First thing I thought of when that came out today.
So, Dave, you have a look on your Dave. You already blurted it out, but you have a look on your face like, did you hear from someone?
No.
Okay.
No, but
I mean, you know people all over town, so I don't know if someone was like, hey,
I haven't heard anything, but it just stands to reason that he had the time frame from when he got his second shot. He was still not immune yet because it wasn't 15 days, I guess it is, and he was only like a week out. And he got unlucky. That's the way it goes. If he happened to have been fully vaccinated another week before he actually completed his vaccinations, he probably hasn't tested positive. That's tough break. Oh, I have to. It's off. I don't want to talk about this fucking virus anymore. Anyway, I want to hear good. This is cool. I hit a big long shot last Sunday.
Okay.
And I bet two outrights in the Palmetto PGA stop. Vince Whaley, who had been playing well, he'd made like 7 or 8 straight cuts, and he was 80-1. It's like, okay, I'm going to give him a shot. Well, that didn't work out. He missed the cut. The other guy was Garrick Higo, who I basically only know because he played a year at UNLV, and I'd heard from some people. I'd never seen him play. But I'd heard from some people, this kid's really good. Okay, I mean, really good. He only played a year here, and then he turned pro. But I've been following him since he turned pro, and he won a couple of events on, I guess, the Sunshine Tour or whatever it's called. It's like he's 50. He was 58-1 at Circa, 50 at the Westgate, 40-1 or above every place. So this is a shot. This isn't a great tournament. It's not star-studded. The top players figure to be looking ahead or just fine-tuning their game for the U.S. Open. I think I'm going to give Higo a roll. I mean, he's gotten to the winner's circle twice, not on the PGA, but I like guys who know how to close tournaments. So he's 6 strokes down going into Sunday, and it's like, well, I got some run out of him anyway at a big price, and then fortunately, the leader, I think, who was way ahead. He just fell apart on Sunday, and of all the chasers, Higo was the best, and ends up winning. Didn't even need a playoff, and that was a big upset in terms of the odds. 50-1 plus. That was nice, and it's when you hit one, it just seems like. I mean, I'm on a roll this week. It's been a lot of fun. And that's what kicked it off because I'd kind of been going back and forth, just treading water for several weeks. And you hit one big one, and it's like, ooh, everything fell into place. And I've gotten lucky in a couple of games this week, and it's knock on wood, it's going good right now. Hope I don't jinx myself by doing that. But anyway, thanks to Garrick Higo, and thank you for attending UNLV, because otherwise I probably never would have been following the guy to begin with. Another Dwayne Knight product. Boy, he's had a bunch of them. He's one of the all-time great coaches in his sport, and he's still the head coach at UNLV. And boy, I mean, and he's had so many stars here over the years. And remember, UNLV was Tiger's second choice. He ended up going to Stanford, but he said if it wasn't Stanford, it was going to be UNLV. Dwayne Knight is the guy.
He you know what? If if UNLV didn't happen to have a guy named Jerry Tarkanian that was coach, you could argue that Dwayne Knight is the of all athletic coaches is the greatest coach
At UNLV?
of all sports altogether. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's been coach now for what, 40 years?
Yeah.
And every year they're still representative. That's always a good team.
They have what? Did they have one national title or two?
I don't remember.
I think they have
good
just
on that
one.
stuff. I track the players more than anything else, and a lot of good players have come through UNLV. Guys who've done very well on the PGA Tour. And Garrick Higo is now a member of that club.
And cash and winning tickets.
Oh man,
Cashing tickets.
Yeah, and he did miss the cut this week, which is not surprising. I mean, you come out of your first PGA win, bit of a letdown factor.
All right, guys, we'll wrap it on that. I appreciate you doing tonight. Have a good weekend. Dave, have some good dinners. Willie, you got anything cool planned?
I'm going to hang out with my dog. And then Sunday, I'm going to watch Game 4, and that's about it. I was going to go to the top-ranked boxing match tomorrow night, but AP doesn't need nothing, so I'm just going to hang tight. I can't remember. I know I'm going next week to see Lomachenko.
Therein lies the problem with boxing.
I'm going to see Lomachenko next week. I know I have to do that. AP does not have me at UFC. Greg Beecham usually covers those.
I have to mention this. I watched because I hadn't seen him fight, and everybody's been telling you got to watch the Shakur Stevenson guy. He's one of the rising stars in boxing.
Yeah. Well,
what'd you think? I was at that one.
Okay, it wasn't all his fault because his opponent was unwilling, to put it mildly. But you talk about a snorathon. I mean, to me, maybe boxing should just say, you know what? If it's clear that the other guy just doesn't want to compete, that's it. The fight's over.
Yeah, wave it off.
You bored the shit out of everybody for the entire duration. It was an awful fight. Awful. Hurts. It hurts Shakur Stevenson and it hurts boxing. And they just can't stop making fights with your contenders facing guys who clearly don't want to be there and have no chance to win the fight. That's why boxing sucks. Okay, it's why you keep on losing your audience, and they go over to MMA where you don't know who's going to win every fight. I mean, you go through a complete MMA card. It's like, Jesus, that's a tough fight. That's a tough fight. Jesus, you'd think they'd pick up on it at some point, but they're just too stupid. And that's only the only word for it. They're just too stupid to figure out they're punching themselves in the face on a regular basis, and they just won't stop. and the next time Shakur Stevenson's on, chances are I won't be watching.
Imagine having to write about that fucking fight last week. I had to write a story about that shit.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
There it is.
I'll tell you, I will say this.
Seriously, the referee should be allowed to go over to the fighter after the third round and say, look, either you fight or I'm going to end this right here and put you and the crowd out of its misery. And we'll just call it a TKO because this is nonsense.
I was looking forward to seeing Teofimo fight this weekend. He's in Miami, and actually, I was getting tickets to send Jordan to that because he's down in Miami. I want to see this guy fight, and because I can't wait for him to fight Devin Haney because I think he's going to knock the shit out of Devin Haney after what I saw at Mandalay Bay a couple of weeks ago. So,
all right, good deal. Strong close, Dave.